Next, abortion is typically thought of as a woman's issue, but a 2024 Gallup poll shows more men identify as pro life than women. And the difference is significant, 49% to 33%. Here to unpack is Sean Carney, co founder, president, and CEO of pro life group 40 Days for Life. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. Why do you think more men identify as pro life than women?
Well, the majority of the pro-life movement has been made up of women. I think it's common sense, particularly Generation Z, who's more pro-life at their age than any previous generation for obvious reasons. They all have a photo of their own ultrasound. Many men are seeing the lies of abortion. We had a presidential candidate who ran on abortion at 40 weeks and infanticide. And so, men have been the problem with abortion throughout history. It was an all male Supreme Court who gave us abortion. Most abortion doctors are men. Most abortion facilities are owned by men. Men have used abortion to use women and leave them. And so it's good to see the tide turning.
And how are men represented in the pro life movement's public events?
I think very prominently, even on our 40 Days for Life team, we have a former abortion doctor who's a man. Most of the former abortion doctors are men, just like the current abortion doctors are men. And I would say that's one of the most powerful voices. Also, the men who really regret paying for their girlfriend's abortion are not speaking up and who live with the pain of abortion. It's not just the women who live with it, but oftentimes many men have deep regrets about it.
Yeah, and I know through your organization, you probably have all kinds of close relationships with people who have experienced the pro life movement from the inside, who have switched from pro choice to pro life. You've heard their stories, their personal stories. What do men tell you about their reasons for coming out and publicly supporting the pro life movement?
That's a great question. They all say typically the same thing, that they feel like they were cowards when they encouraged their girlfriend to have an abortion, or when she said, "Hey, I think I want to have an abortion." Cowardice is the word that they use, that they're ashamed of it, that they didn't stand up, that they didn't defend the woman, that they certainly didn't defend their baby. And they want to do something about it, and they want to talk to other young men. This idea that you can just be promiscuous and get away with it, and abortion can save you from any responsibility is a lie. And they're very motivated to get that beautiful positive message out there.
And what about women? How do they view this situation?
They want more men. I'm a man, and so since I first got involved in my late teens, the most powerful voices in our movement, I believe, are the women who have laid on that table and had an abortion and now speak out against abortion. And I've had thousands of women tell me, we need more men, we need more young men, we need men to stand up. Oftentimes, these women have been hurt from men because men are nowhere to be found on the day of their abortion, and they're not supportive, and they're nowhere to be found after the abortion. And so, many women have been hurt by men. Men have been the driving force of the abortion industry the last 50 years, and women want to see more men stand up.
So you said men have been the driving force of the abortion industry in the last 50 years. Why do you think that is?
Because they're the beneficiaries of it. Women don't win or benefit from abortion. Promiscuous men do, bad men who want to use women and not take responsibility. That's what abortion is for. That's sort of the elephant in the room, that without that, abortion doesn't survive. But the true winners of abortion are bad men who just don't want the responsibility of having a baby or supporting a pregnant woman. And that is very understandable why so many women would be drawn to abortion, with men dropping the ball in that area.
So what role do you think that men should play in this movement? You touched on this a little bit already.
Yeah, I think that they should have the courage to speak out against this. I mean, the most absurd thing is, when they say, no uterus, no opinion. But if you support abortion and you're a man, you're allowed to have an opinion. But to separate men from the abortion issue is ignoring the problem itself, which is that bad men benefit from abortion. And so I think men need to be courageous and speak up with science, with common sense, with compassion. We've had so many men come into the pro-life movement just over the last 10 years. The pro-life movement gets younger, it gets stronger. And I think you're going to see more men getting involved, and more men taking responsibility in how they treat women, and certainly how they view abortion.
Now, Sean, you mentioned the idea of this idea that goes around society: no abortion, no uterus, no opinion on abortion. Why do you think that is not true?
Because we don't do that with any other issue where your gender decides if you can have an opinion on something. It's absolutely absurd. Half the babies who are aborted are girls, the other half are men. And if you're going to tell men that they can't have an opinion, well, then you need to tell all the male abortionists to resign and quit their jobs and go do something else.
Yeah, it makes me think about, where would the pro-life movement be if men had been more involved throughout the history of this movement? Where do you think it would be?
Well, I think it would be good. The more people that are involved are good. This is what the pro-life women are saying. And even with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the commentator Bill Maher said he learned that the majority of pro-life Americans are in fact women, and that he didn't know that. I don't think a lot of people know that. They have truly been the heroes of our movement, and they should be. But that doesn't mean men need to stay on the sidelines and say, well, this is a women's issue. I think that's very dangerous. I think it allows men to be neglectful and lazy, and not take a stand on this. And if they listen to the men that did fall for that lie and drive their girlfriend to an abortion thinking it would solve all their problems, they would have a different view of men's involvement with this issue.
All right, Sean Carney, co-founder, president, and CEO of pro-life group 40 Days for Life. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.